So, you are a beginner and you're trying to improve your audio editing skill on Final Cut Pro. You've come to the right place, my friend, because that is exactly what we're going to do today. Let us turn on Final Cut Pro, create a project, and then we select any clip that we have on the video, drag it onto the timeline, and then what you're going to need is a headphone, because sometimes using a speaker from your desktop or from your laptop is not a very ideal way to do audio editing, because sometimes you cannot hear clearly the small detail that can make tremendous amount of change to your clips. So that is why I'm going to use a headphone, and normally a cheap headphone should also be fine. So you're going to need this, put it on, better. Okay, so when it comes to audio editing, you're going to have to first find the area of your clip that has the most amount of content with you inside of it, with your voice on it, and then you basically trim it. Secondly, what you can do is click Command L, which basically will allow your Final Cut Pro to loop the video. And you can also turn off looping with the same Command L as well. So yeah, don't forget to turn on your Command L, the looping option. After enable looping, you're going to want to click the slash button and over again hear your voice talking. And what that will help is basically you will be able to edit your voice consistently without having to use your mouse and then revert it back to its original stage, so you can just keep playing your audio over and over again while editing it. Now that we have got it out of the way, let us focus on how we can actually edit our audio. What you want to do is basically you have to mess around with the equalizer by pressing this button right here. So after pressing it, do not be confused or intimidated by what is on the screen. It is fairly simple to use. What you want to do, if you're a beginner, there's no need to understand a lot of the complexity of how it is or what it is. You just have to mess around with it so that you feel like your sound is getting better. If it sounds worse, you can always reset it and do it again. So let us check it out. Primarily about the use of face. So I turned down the volume a bit because with my headphone on, it's a bit hard to talk at the same time. Basically, you keep hearing it and then you try to mess around with it. Normally, you don't see much of a difference with the initial and the end of the frequency. So a lot of the time you're gonna have to mess around in the middle and do not go over 12 decibel. Generally, I only apply it or raise it to about 6 decibel. Anything more than that can sometimes sound distorted, or anything less than 6 decibel can also be a bit quiet. So remember that the higher you go, the louder it sounds, and the lower you go, the quieter it becomes. So I'm gonna listen to it and then try to mess around with it to make it sound a bit better. So I've made my changes. So what I did was basically I made the beginning end of my sound to be a bit more louder, whereas I trimmed down the end part of it to make sure that it sounds clearer. Because if I were to compare before and now, primarily about the use of Facebook against other social media platform. It's the sound that came from my microphone was not exactly the clearest sound. So I have to make those kind of changes to make sure that when the listener listens to my video, the video itself sounds a bit more compact rather than broken, and the voice is a bit shattered. So I have to fix that. Again, a lot of the time for beginners, all of these are preferential. So make sure you play around with the graphic equalizer to get it right to the amount that you want it to be. And from one video to another, you can improve over time, and then you can learn about the more advanced audio editing. But that is what I did. I'm happy with the sound from the video, and then we are going to move on to the next step, which is going to be the compressor. So what I did was basically I added a compressor. So what a compressor does is that it makes the video, the sounds, a lot louder than before, because earlier the sound was compact but it wasn't crisp to the ear of the listener. Primarily about the use of Facebook against other social media platform. It's by adding a compressor, you are able to make it a bit louder. However, it is not practical in all use cases. Sometimes, for example, when you have two people talking to the camera, and let's say you are the one who is speaking very loud and your partner can be speaking quite low, you can add a compressor to make your partner sound a bit loud without having the video or the sound quality being distorted. Because if you were to just turn on the volume, the sound itself might get distorted. So that is when a compressor can be very useful in this kind of situation. With a compressor, you will also get a lot of parameters that you can play around with, like the threshold, ratio, attack, release, makeup, so on and so forth. But as a beginner, I don't recommend you to play around with it because for most use case, just adding a compressor will help solve your audio problem. So if you're a beginner, add a compressor, and if you think that your sound gets worse, just erase it and stick with your old adjustment, or if you think it will help, just add it. And that is how I usually do it when I started doing video editing. I don't want to go over the complexity of how the compressor can be, which is really complex. You have to understand a lot of aspects regarding audio editing, and for me, I'm not really a professional at that, but for a beginner, this tool really helps you a lot. With just a click of a button and minor changes here and there to fit your preference, it will help improve your audio a lot. So yeah, just remember that when it sounds good to you, a lot of the time it will also sound good to other people as well. So yeah, those are very two simple steps that you can do to help you as a beginner make your video sounds a bit clearer, because a lot of the time when you record from a microphone, it sounds good, but it doesn't sound compact like many other YouTube videos. So these two things will help you a lot. And make sure that you turn on your audio meter by clicking on help, search audio meter, and turn it on. I just turn it off. Basically just turn it on, and you have to make sure that your audio meter stays around -8 to -6. The least can be -3 depending on the situation of your voice recording. So yeah guys, hopefully that quick tip is helpful to you guys in terms of Final Cut Pro basic audio editing. If this helped, be sure to drop a like and a subscribe down below. And with that being said, this has been Sam, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.